This episode of the Book of Very, Very Bad Things podcast has been brought to you by our sponsors at Sweet Cheetah Publicity. Sweet Cheetah is a PR collective that values people over profit. They put a different spin on public relations by working primarily with friends and using all profits to aid charitable organizations. With a roster that includes Jawbox, The New Amsterdams, Brainiac, Get Some, Funeral Date, Damian Dunn, and many more artists, record labels, and podcasts. Sweet Cheetah. That's a great PR cohort. You can find them on social media by simply searching Sweet Cheetah PR, and they'll be there. He's been Tim. I've been Peter, and Sweet Cheetah has been beautiful. First thing I was going to ask the both of you, I'll ask you since I have you.
Sure.
The name of the band, I had it in my head for I don't know why, and for however long, a few years now, that you came up with the name because a little kid tried to say koala and said Koalra. That's what I thought it meant.
Can you guys hear me now?
No, it was kind of completely random, but yeah.
Just have to use that fucking monitor, man. How's it going, man? I'm Nico.
I'm Pete. How are you, buddy?
Not so bad.
So I was asking about the band name. It's Impetus. My idea in my head was having heard some small child try to say the word koala and it coming out wrong. That's where my head went immediately.
Yeah, no, we kind of came up with the name randomly, and then we made an excuse for it after, and we said it was koala mixed with Shira.
When I joined the band, that's what he told me, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, Nico actually joined after the band name was already.
Yeah.
So he might have stopped it if if he was in the band.
I wouldn't have stopped it. We would have had a discussion first.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
I like the fact that it doesn't have some, like, I can't go to a dictionary and look it up, an almost nonsense word, because then you get to define it.
Well, especially if you go to like Google, if you Google something and it's like, okay, I have to like sift through all this bullshit before I actually find what I'm looking for. I don't think there's any other koalas out there.
No, you're not sharing that name with anyone.
I think there is someone like on like Instagram or something that uses it for like, their personal handle or whatever.
Oh, so it's going to be like Highlander. There can only be one. We got to go kill him.
Yeah, you got to take their head immediately. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll get quickened.
Definitely a lawsuit coming.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness.
Not at all.
So, how long have you guys been a band?
Well, the band started right before COVID, and then we
did it.
Yeah, I did a couple shows right before COVID and then got killed by that. So, but it was in a different location and different members. We had all different. Jason, our drummer, he was in it then, but we had two other guys in it originally, and then I moved, and then we met Nico. Nico came in on the fourth album.
I believe so. Yeah. Love Songs.
Yeah. Yep.
So there was the Wakes. I'm trying to remember what else was prior to that. I feel really bad.
The first one's
super well versed in the earlier stuff. I'm just like,
The first one's self-titled. That's number one.
Yeah.
But this one right behind.
The border. Yep.
So
and then it was the Wakes, and then it was Into the Everything, and then you came in on the fourth one.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the interim, throughout this amount of time, you guys have amassed one hell of a discography. I mean, I just got a care package today, and it's like just records and like. How are you accomplishing not only coming up with this amount of material, but pulling it off in such a brief amount of time and getting it released?
Really focus. It's weird because I was in bands when I was young. I've been in bands since I was 18 or whatever, and back then one of the biggest problems I always had is I could never write enough songs. Like I would put out like an album every 3 years or write a song every 6 months, but I don't know, just as I got older I was able to write a lot more. I have no idea why. Just maybe experience.
For me, I mean, like joining Koalra was kind of a blessing. I mean, Phil's lyrics are fucking incredible. Like it's one of my favorite things about the band. And like my big joke is that I've been in more bands than chlamydia. Like I'm constantly writing music, even if the music doesn't go anywhere. Like I'm constantly turning shit out just to have for back catalog. And anytime I have something new to write, like Phil's constantly like send it my way, and he like the same day will typically like throw some lyrics on top of it, and it's some of the best shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, and you have that going for you, but just as well, there's a, how do I put it? There's a magical kind of thing going on with you guys where it's somewhere in between something that would have occurred in the late 80s and maybe like early 2000s indie rock mixed together.
Right.
I'm getting some massive feedback. I don't know where that's coming from. One of you have your monitors turned way up?
Oh, I did, because I don't have headphones now. I just turned it down. Is that better?
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
That was definitely my bad. Sorry, man.
But it seems like you're culling from quite a vast array of influential touchstones.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift. What kind of bands were you playing in when you were younger, like say 15, 20 years ago?
Shit. I mean, I've been playing in post-punk bands for probably the past 10 years. Just a lot of like Susie, Bauhaus, even like some of that post-punk revival, like Interpol kind of stuff, like has always been kind of a big influence for me. I've only since joining Koalra have I like started reaching out and like kind of like branching out and trying new shit. They're the ones who taught me what krautrock was, and I've fallen down that rabbit hole real hard.
Hawkwind.
Oh man, it's amazing. Like just all the like I wasn't super into like 70s psych stuff or anything like that, but after like getting into krautrock and then like really seeing that like even post-punk stuff really pulls from krautrock. It's all about that motoric beat and just like keeping shit going. Yeah, it's been eye-opening for sure.
And how about you, sir?
I played in punk bands when I was young. You know, little
you
on the
write lyrics like
poppy,
a punk
little on the
vocalist.
poppy side. But yeah, I also did a lot of hip hop when I was younger too. Like rapped a lot. So, but yeah.
See, if you could see behind me, there's one of 8 of my De La Soul debut records on vinyl. I was
that's the best hip hop record ever made. So
it's that and probably Midnight Marauders for me.
Yeah, you know, honestly though, I like De La Soul's Dead more than. But when I grew up listening to 3 Feet High.
Yeah,
and then that was kind of, you know, I listened to that so much. But over the years, I like De La Soul's Dead so much more. But it's hard to choose between those two. But
what it is like it starts off with, you know, that Prince Paul kind of silliness. And it's great boom bap beats, but then they start to get really progressive really quickly with that second record, which kind of segues into what you guys did, because in the beginning I think there was a lot more of a post-punk kind of like not influence. It was more post-punk than it is now. To me now you guys are more reminiscent of, I don't know, like there's a kind of a Pixies thing going on with you guys where like the punk is in there and the loud quiet loud is in there as well. It's not just one mood per record, and that I appreciate, because it, as much as I love post-punk and the new wave of post-punk very much, I don't want to hear the same shuffle beat and like the disco beats and just the downtrodden guitars. It's great if you can take that and make it your own and not just be like, we're going to sound like, you know, Dead Can Dance now or whatever. The early Dead Can Dance stuff that was very much post-punky before they got really out there. I love all that shit, but I heard all of it before in the 80s when I was a kid too. It seems to me like you're not even interested in following that sort of path. If you were to kind of break down what your path, your vision of your path would be, how would you describe that to me?
Well, we definitely want to try to change it up on every album. That's kind of one of the big things with having Nico join too, is back on those first 3 albums, I used to make all the music and you know, Jason would do drums and then I would do all the music on top of that. But I kind of got tired of that and wanted to have somebody come in and completely just make all the music and just write lyrics over it. One for, you know, to really change the sound a lot, to have something new going on. And then Nico came in on that 4th album and he does all the music now. So there's definitely a big change between the way the music sounds between album 3 and 4, because I used to make all the music up till album 3. And then when Nico joined, he makes all the music now. So, and I just put lyrics over it, which I really prefer to do.
It's been lovely. Like it's a really nice, it is definitely a symbiotic relationship.
And you got to step in and really, you know, take the reins and express yourself in a pretty particular way. And just come in and be like, here are the keys.
That was the thing, is that with love songs that remind us that we can't stand each other, I was pumped on that record. I had all the music written, but I'd written it all as guitar music and synth, and eventually expected like a bass player to step in to write a cool bass line. I'm just like, whatever. That was not the case. So bass is very lacking on that record. It follows everything. The Fires Burned, we pulled somebody in who's a great bass player. He had some really cool stuff going on, but this next record, Disasterclass, is where I think bass really kind of takes the reins. There are moments in this record where bass is the lead instrument. I don't know, man. Like, I think Disasterclass might be my favorite record I've ever worked on. It's gonna be really cool.
Do we have
any date? That comes out, I can't remember, December 22nd?
22nd. Yeah, okay. December 22nd.
Wow. That's on my wife's father's and my wife's father's birthday. All 3 of those people have the same birthday in my life, December 22nd.
We'll have to send him a present. It'll be the album. So
very awesome. There's I have a question about the new record too. How is that going? Is that going to come out on cassette again, or are we going to go with an LP this time around?
Yeah, we're going to do vinyl this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
This record, like a lot of time and a lot of heart went into this record. I started writing it shortly after the Fires record came out. Before we started writing it, technically. What happened was we were supposed to go into the studio for The Fires Burned, and we met up with a bass player, and I was like, okay, like, gotta go meet my wife and stuff. And that night I was in a car wreck that blew my finger off, all kinds of weird stuff. It was real bad. Luckily Phil and the boys,
the day before we were going to the studio.
Yeah, I was on Oxys and Pabst the entire time that record was recorded. It was brutal, but it was a lot of fun. But it did afford.
You were on that before then.
It afforded me the time to sit back and really put a lot of effort into writing this record. I mean, some of the gear that we got to use on that record was because of that car wreck. Like all kinds of fun stuff. That's also when I started playing bass more, because we ended up we just didn't want to have like a bassist for hire again.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time writing the bass lines for this record, because a lot of it is bass oriented. And Disasterclass it's very nice.
So that's going to be the focal point of our conversation. I want to gear everything towards it, because, you know, I'll edit this out, but I kind of want to do, my vision for this anyway is to do like a record release show for you guys to really kind of, you know, pump it up a little bit. I don't know if you want me to put it out like the day of release or like the week before. We could discuss that, but I left.
Never clever.
I left my smokes in the bathroom. I got to go grab them. I'll be right back.
Totally, man. Hi, Phil.
What's up, man?
How's it going, buddy?
Is that your new apartment back there?
Oh yeah, this is actually my office.
Oh, nice. I like that red. Is that a buffet back there? It looks tight.
You say a buffet?
Oh, you know, like the cabinet's like a buffet style.
Oh no, it's like this old fucking like TV stand that we found at in like a secondhand store that somebody had
Yeah.
painted red, and I was like, I'll take that for like $50.
Nice. Was that in the photo of the? I mean, because I know all the guitars. Did that show in the
Yeah.
photo? Oh, it did.
In
Yeah.
that
Guitar magazine thing.
photo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Fucking better watch out, Phil. I'm gonna throw some sitar on a fucking Koalra song.
Not allowed.
Yeah, it is, dude. I can't play sitar to save my fucking life, but dude, like sitar through guitar pedals, like get the right delay going.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I think that could be dope. Not
It
gonna
is
lie.
dope. My other band does it.
So you said that, Nico, you said that, you started out in the post-punk thing. So where were you coming from when you're a kid, right? And we all get raised on pop music, what's on the radio when we're young.
Yeah.
We don't really choose our music. When you first start making your own choices about what you want to hear, what is good to your ear, what did you first reach for?
Oh, fucking, are we going like back from the beginning? How the fuck did I get here?
Yeah.
Man,
Back to the embarrassing stages when.
Yeah, okay. If we're dipping into the embarrassing stages, so 10 years old, 1998, I'm balls deep into like AC/DC, just loud, just Queen, just all the old fucking rock and roll. I just wanted loud music. And then after a while, I started getting into more like, shock rocky Marilyn Manson bullshit, Slipknot, new metal. And then after a while, I think it was freshman year, somebody was like, like Marilyn Manson sucks. Like, how about just like listen to this? And they gave me Peep Show by Susie and the Banshees. And that record came out a week before I was born. And to this day, hands down, top 5 like desert island records of all time.
Yeah.
Incredible fucking record. Every record that I'm a part of, that's the goal line. That's how I found out about Bauhaus. I was already into Bowie and shit, but like getting into some more of his like some of his darker stuff, like stuff around like the man who fell to earth era. But and I mean, like I definitely like dabbled in my punk rock years and stuff, which it's punk rock. Everybody goes through that. But then when I moved to Portland, I ended up just going on Craigslist and looking for like, what band am I gonna join? Like just going on to Craigslist, and I think I was 22, and the first band I joined was a band called Shadow House.
Mm-hmm.
Great fucking band, love them to death. I helped write the entire first record. They just released their second record, I think about a year ago. But
they toured overseas. I think they
just got back from the European tour.
Yeah.
Great dude. Shane's a great guy. Haven't talked to. I don't remember. I think that he's the only original member left. But yeah, that's what got me into, because I mean, like I was very just like plug and play, just like, oh yeah, here's a distortion pedal, plug it into the amp. Like I don't really care what it's gonna sound like. It's gonna sound loud. And then I moved here and joined Shadow House, and like Shane was the guy who really got me into gear. And it was like, hey, you're gonna need like $2,000 worth of pedals if you want to sound good. And I really I didn't like that at first, but yeah, he was right. You fall into getting gear and you start playing pedals more than you play guitar anymore. And I feel like right now with Koalra, I think that we're kind of at the point where we spent so much time with effects and stuff that we're playing our instruments. I'm playing my instruments more and not really focusing so much on the tonal qualities, not focusing so much on the pedals or what guitar you're playing. It's really about like, hey, write the music and then play that through effects, as opposed to like, hey, like this part needs, 17 chorus pedals and 4 delays.
Yeah, how's this? We need a phaser on this one. Stat right around that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for. Which
sure.
I mean, like pedals are great when you need them, but you don't need them all the time.
There was a pretty big sonic shift around, I want to say 97, 98, where people started really leaning heavily into just playing their like guitar boards more than their guitars, and it was cool for a minute. You know what I mean?
Did it well, did it real well.
Oh yeah, Cave-In did the shit out of it when they switched from that metalcore thing to get more space rocky, and then they were going straight for like the whole, you know, lots of whammy pedals and like just craziness.
Oh yeah.
And it's really cool when it's done right. But
the whammy pedal is just the one that I just can't get behind. I'm just like, hey, Tom Morello, like that's his thing, and nobody else was allowed to touch it.
yeah,
I'm just like, he does it really well, and it's really specific. And if anybody else does it, it's like, yeah, cool. Like I listened to Rage Against the Machine when I was a kid too.
that's like the Edge with his pedals.
Yeah, with his dotted eighth note delays.
Yep, I love it. Is it
yeah, it's fantastic.
Is it guitar playing?
And it's definitely, that's the thing, is that I love the Edge's guitar playing.
Oh, so I do too.
But I hate it when people are like, he's one of the best guitar players of all time. I'm like,
no, he's not.
He's not at all. Like what he's playing is so simple. Like, don't get me wrong. It's well written.
Yeah.
But it's not talent.
No, and you know what? It's and they are very honest about this. U2,
absolutely,
and being some of my all-time heroes. Joshua Tree legitimately changed my entire life. But what he does is like they're a bunch of punk kids from Ireland who they taught themselves how to play.
Yeah.
So they're not doing it the right way. They're doing it the way they know how.
Exactly. And that's the best kind of musician, is somebody who's like, this works for me. That's how you develop your own style. You develop your own like techniques.
So Phil, how do take me on that same journey? You're a young kid. You're first coming out of, just being at the mercy of the radio, and you're searching for your thing. What's the first thing you reach for?
Yeah, I mean, I started out on hair metal, so
sure.
Which you can guess my age by that, but I think the first thing I ever owned was probably Whitesnake, like with Still the Night on it, that album, and then Poison, the first Poison album, and Faster Pussycat, and
I still like Faster Pussycat.
Yeah, Bathroom Wall is like the best song. I love that song still.
Yep.
I don't know. I fell off on them pretty quick though. Their second album was kind of weak to me, but yeah. And then after that, punk. Started listening to like all. I liked All way more than I liked Descendants. I was big into All and stuff like that. Naked Ray Gun, because I was around the Chicago area.
Naked Ray Gun, or like
that's some of the Bad Brains, stuff like that. So
yeah. I mean, I'm wearing a Black Flag shirt right now. I mean,
oh nice, yeah.
I come from hardcore. I still play in a hardcore band, but to me, what like you guys make, what you guys play, it very much reminds me of something that would have come out on 4AD, because 4AD had that spread, right? They had the post-punk, but they had the like almost post-hardcore with the Pixies. There was such an amalgamation of odd musics. But you come out of hair metal and into punk. When do you find your next phase after that?
I don't know. You know what? I guess honestly, before I found any punk stuff, one of the things that really changed my life is I liked all the metal stuff, and that naturally flowed into Metallica when I was a kid. And then I remember when I was young, I was looking at like Grammy nominations, and alongside the metal stuff was Jane's Addiction, and I was like, what is this? Why is this band? And then when I listened to Jane's Addiction, it just totally changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think from Jane's Addiction, then like the next band that wasn't just hair metal was Dinosaur Jr. I got big into them. I think I seen them on David Letterman, and I was like, holy shit. And then that kind of changed the trajectory for me, like for getting me out of the hair metal and stuff like that. But
I'm guessing you were born in the 70s like myself.
74.
76. So yeah, we're in that era.
Yeah.
So 88 boys.
Yeah.
Gen X, my friend. There's nothing like us.
I was like, oh yeah, Nico's feet is really cutting out.
So you guys find each other well into Koalra's career. Phil, you meet Nico. What's your first impression of this guy?
I love Nico immediately. Yeah.
Oh man,
Always immediately and always and forever. So yeah. Yeah, he was great. I mean, we talked on email a long time before we really met and traded. He like sent me all his yeah. But yeah, I mean, everything he emailed me, I was so impressed with. I was like, this is definitely, I know this is gonna work. And even just from talking to him on email, I knew that me and him were gonna work out together. And yeah. And then when I met him, I loved him. I mean, he's fun and always upbeat and all that stuff. And
Phil, you got pretty eyes.
Life's a party, and I'm the opposite. I'm like quiet and reserved and don't talk. So I always like hanging out with somebody that's like the life of the party and just hanging in the back. So and that works out great. So yeah.
He's the guy you throw on the hand grenade at the party, right?
There it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been
Jason, the drummer Jason, me and him, we go back since we were like, God, forever, since 16 years old. So
man, I remember the first time I met Jason was the night before we recorded Love Songs. And
oh yeah.
Like you and I had already we'd shot the shit like a handful of times like in person already.
Right.
So it's getting ready and you're like, yeah, like Jason's gonna be here tonight. I was like, fuck yeah, like I'll go ahead and swing by your place. Like I definitely want to meet the guy who's gonna be playing drums to songs that he's never heard that I've written.
Yeah.
And like immediately, like Jason's just got that like best friend energy. Like he just wants to lift everybody up. He's just perfect drummer energy. Like, hey guys. No, like $1 million fucking heart. Love that kid to death.
It's odd when you're speaking about a drummer, because most of the time a drummer is the most mercurial member of a band. I mean, look at Keith Moon.
It's my favorite member of the band to make fun of, like no question. And it's usually because more often than not, it's because I can't drum to save my life. Like I can play any instrument you put in front of me, but you put me behind a drum kit and I'm worthless.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the whole like, oh, how many drummers does it take to change the light bulbs? None. They make machines that do that now. But it's really, I'm just like, I spent so much time in post-punk that I was like, yeah, I can program a drum machine real well. Can't drum to save my fucking life.
Well, that's a matter of, having the ability to make 4 limbs do 4 different things at the same time.
Right, I'm just like, get out of here telling me that I have to play my music instrument with my feet, both of my feet. Get out of here. I can hit a pedal most of the time.
The best drummers play with their toes.
Yeah,
I don't care.
All independently.
Oh god.
I'm the son of a jazz drummer, so
nice.
There's a distinct amount of psychosis that goes into having such an ability to be like so cerebral yet in the pocket playing drums. He actually scared me before I knew anything about what he did when he was in Vietnam. That's how terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So the road to making this new record started with abject catastrophe.
Yeah.
You get into a car accident and
no, that was the one before.
That was the one before.
No, I mean, but start like the creation of Disasterclass absolutely did start with that. I was essentially not bedridden, but I was definitely homebound for a little while.
Yeah.
But I remember Jason and I talking when I was on a lot of Oxycontin at the studio. He was like, like this, The Fires Burned is gonna be such a rad record. Like I'm so excited about it, and like the sound, like it sounds huge. It's such a great sounding record. And he was like, the next one is gonna be better. Like a couple of albums down the line, like we're really gonna hit something. And Nihilism and Analog Tape was really more of a B-sides record. There's a lot of stuff that we kind of hit on, like a song that we wrote here, a song that we wrote here. This is the first one that's been written like to completion since The Fires Burned. And it's because I had so much time to just kind of like sit and stew and write and just like do something. And The Fires Burned was really The Fires Burned really came from, it was kind of born out of, like post 2020, just we live in this world that's like it's political turmoil and COVID, and we've all been through so much. And I was like, I was angry, and I wanted to like kind of put everything in this box where it was aggressive. Even the happier songs on that record are still pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Disasterclass is not necessarily the opposite, but almost like a continuation of Feeling, in the sense that I feel like it's more it's more about what happens next. It's like The Fires Burned is absolutely just this complete disaster of just everything has been destroyed by the end of the record. And that's why the record ends with this just chaotic, just like swell of noise and vocals like just spiraling out of control. And now Disasterclass comes in, and it really is just like stepping out of the rubble. It's just like everything's got to continue. And then it's just this beautiful, there are a handful of songs on this record that I am so proud that like the music, I was like, there's how can this song get any better? The music is incredible. And then Phil came to me with some of these lyrics, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, like this is perfect. The ending of the album, Closer, The Clouds Hang on You, Disasterclass, the whole record is just, yeah, it hits home, man. It's my favorite. It's so good.
Now the name of it, where does that come from? Because I mean, it's very evocative. Like you hear someone like, it's a master class in this. It's like, is that kind of the vibe? Like,
so originally it had this long, obnoxious fucking title, and I can't remember. I think it was like Various Levels of the Gardener, some like random bullshit that I thought was profound. And then one day I sent him the title track, and he's like, yeah, like, what do you want it to be called? And I was like, I want this song to be called Disasterclass. And he was like, can we call the album that? And I was like, yeah, honestly, like that's way better.
Yeah, fit perfect as the album title. So
Yeah, absolutely.
and I think all the albums we've done before, the titles were getting longer and longer.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, I will die on the hill. I think Love Songs That Remind Us That We Can't Stand Each Other is a fantastic fucking album.
That's actually my favorite of all your album titles, I have to say, because it's I relate to that. I very much relate to that, because
it's a big fucking mood, man.
I think we've all been there.
Exactly.
What's the full title of Fires?
Oh yeah, so The Fires is it's each song title is a line of the album title, and it's The Fires Burned Everything We Had, When the Dust Settles They Will Do It Again. So that's the whole album title and the track listing.
That I dig that too. To me, it seems like everything's intentional with you guys. There's no, with the exception of the band name, everything's very much cogent, and every moving part, every song, every lyric, they all kind of revolve around one another. There's every album's an actual, with the exception of the one that's like a B-sides collection.
Mm-hmm.
Every album's an actual like album, whereas in this climate, everything's singles. It's a big singles market.
Yeah,
album-oriented rock has all but died, and I think that's what I appreciate too. There's very much a sense of the album with you guys.
Well, that's the thing, is that like one thing that I recognize in the bands that I love, like I don't want to speak for Phil, but like my favorite bands right now are like Dry Cleaning, the Viagra Boys, like I love that kind of shit. Slift, but everybody's putting out like 1-2 songs here and there, and it's because everybody's attention span's so short.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do have an appreciation for like a big picture, just like sit the fuck down, smoke a joint, like Just block the world out. Don't look at Instagram and listen to this fucking record. Like
It's these damn kids.
Well,
this damn kid.
I think there's a lot of people hiding. I think there's enough people hiding in the shadows that really love the album experience, though.
Yeah.
absolutely, and I think for the most part, it's guys in like our age group who remember a time where when you went out to buy a record, you may have had the chance to hear one song off of it on college radio or whatever, or you're buying it because it was on a band's thank list, or they wore one of their t-shirts on the back of their record.
Yeah.
Or it was on a record label that you liked. That was kind of the criteria, right? So you go and you fork over, if it's a CD in the 80s, $25 for a record. Even if you don't like it at first, you better learn how to like that motherfucker because you just blew all that money.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, we're gonna be like the only generation that have picked up an album based on an album cover.
Yeah, we're done. We are a one and done generation.
Bill, what was your first CD or first record that you ever bought?
First vinyl?
Just anything. Like you're like 10 years old and you can buy your first thing.
It's that Whitesnake album again.
Oh, was that?
I don't want to talk about Whitesnake 2 times in 1 hour, but
dude, like I'm actually like pumped because like the first album I ever bought, I'm not embarrassed of. The first album I ever bought was I had seen the music video on MTV2 because I was like 10, maybe 12. In there somewhere. It was the fucking self-titled Gorillaz album.
Oh,
nice.
See,
yeah.
There you
That
go.
album's so fucking good. Like to this day, that shit is constantly fucking spinning in my house.
Yeah. Can you guys remember an album that you picked up based on just album cover and it was amazing?
Oh God, I could think of about 50.
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago you did, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say actually I texted you about it, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Okay, so there's this band called Deathly Fighter. My wife and I we went to Hollywood Vintage in Portland, Oregon. Great fucking store, huge, just all these different vendors and shit. And there was this fucking vinyl in there for $5, 12-inch. And I'm like, okay, $5 vinyl, and it's just this big white square that says Deathly Fighter, completely dusted in like big impact letters. And I'm just like, why is this in a secondhand store? And B, why is this 12-inch $5? Like the wax that it's printed on is worth more than that.
Yeah.
So I bought it. I was like, okay, like let's go ahead and see this. Hands down, one of the best records I've heard all year. It is just weird and noisy and crowdy and just it's fucking bizarre, but like I'm so happy I have it on vinyl.
You know who they're named after, right? There's a Japanese hardcore band from the 80s called Gauze, and they are a cult, and I mean a cult band from Japan.
Is it? Oh, go ahead.
They had a song called Deathly Fighter. That is the song that everyone who loves this band, that's their favorite track. I know the band you're speaking of. I like the band you're speaking of, and that is what they're named after.
That's super sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those like kismet moments where I was like, if your album cover looks like this, you've got to be real fucking good. So I like bought it and I was like, okay, like let's listen. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that was the best musical experience I've had all year.
Sepultura Morbid Visions. That was my first purchase based upon an album cover where I was like, wow, I'm so glad I bought this.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was deep into my thrash phase in the late 80s, and that was wow. That was a game changer. For a while there, I thought Sepultura was the best band on planet Earth. I still love them. I still love that early Sepultura sound, but they got really new metal towards their last couple of records, and I was, but
dude,
you know,
at the risk of everything these days, like it does suck. I did delete all of it off my iPod because yes, I still have an iPod. Man, those early Marilyn Manson records are actually pretty fucking slap. Like they slap.
First three.
So
I have a Marilyn Manson story. Actually, I have a very good Marilyn Manson story. Actually,
Hollywood and before bangers. Every single one of them. everything after that, I was like, you're bad. And then he was also, and then it was the whole like, oh yeah, you're also a sexual, like not a predator, but like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's unfortunate, but sometimes it's the ones you most expect.
Yeah. I saw that one coming. I met Glenn Danzig, Marilyn Manson, and the members of Korn on the same night. Marilyn Manson had just gotten signed. They just stopped being the Spooky Kids.
So was it? Oh, the Spooky Kids record was so good. Though.
It was good.
-3 is one of my favorite fucking songs. It's so dope.
I like them, but Korn had not yet been signed. They had a demo out, and they were both of those bands were opening for Danzig and played at like this concert hall that's meant for symphonies and stuff in my area. So it's Danzig, and I grew up on the Misfits and Sam Hain, and I like the first couple Danzig records. I'm going.
Fucking slaps.
I had a press pass, so I'm backstage. I meet Glenn first, and he's got a blonde that's about a foot taller than him on each arm, and he comes strutting up. He's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" He was really fucking cool, but it was a one and done. I met the guys from Korn. I thought they were very nice young men. They were definitely all on speed.
Oh hell yeah!
Fucking definitely all on speed. They were gacked out of their skulls.
Back when there wasn't a stigma about it,
right?
I'm just like, good on you, 90s.
And then I'm looking over in the corner at these dudes that are just like the most wild looking motherfuckers I'd ever seen in my town, like straight up. And it's Marilyn Manson. So I make a beeline to these guys, and I get to talking to Twiggy and Marilyn. And we had about a 45-minute discussion about the Marquis de Sade while I was underage drinking off of their rider with them before the concert even started. And
nice.
Yeah, he's a predator, and yeah, he sucks now.
That's unfortunate. But but
he was a dude back then.
Great. Like I'm not necessarily gonna say that I'll die on that hill, but I'll secretly listen to it on occasion.
Sure. Sure. I mean, how many bands that we all have loved have had pieces of shit in the bands? I mean,
I hate to say it, but I'm like, yeah, like okay, like a little bit of David Bowie. Like you really like, where do we draw the line? I'm just like, I love Bowie, and yeah, Bowie's a fucking icon. But Bowie did some fucking questionable shit too. And we call Elvis the king of rock and roll, and he married a fucking 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, it just is what it is, man.
I think consciousness was vastly different back then as well.
Yeah.
I love Jerry Lee Lewis. He was a fucking icon, obviously. And he married his 13-year-old cousin.
Okay. So I love Chuck Berry. Do you know what the best video on the internet is?
What's that?
There is a video of Chuck Berry with his heels behind his head, getting his asshole licked out by a sex worker, and he farts in her face.
Oh my God.
And I didn't mean for this podcast to go this direction, but it is one of my favorite videos on the internet.
Oh, that's killer.
I'll send it to Phil so Phil can send it to you, and we'll have a giggle about it later.
I'm game. I'm game for that.
So,
but I think consciousness is just different now. I think having done things like that back then, obviously not cool. But if you do it in this climate, knowing what we know and empathizing more with women and just, every different walk of the human spectrum, if you are to impinge yourself upon another human being in that manner now, knowing what we know, learning what we've learned, I think it makes you worse.
Absolutely. I also think that we live in a climate in which it's like, yeah, obviously we can look back, and I mean, at the risk of being like, oh yeah, like it was fine. It wasn't fine back then by our standards, but when you go back to then, it's like there was an entire society that was acting a certain way. And it's more about like Yeah, I lost my train of thought there. I was like, oh, maybe
No,
we
but
shouldn't be talking about this on the podcast.
no, it's fine because if you look back at, the Chuck Berrys and Elvises of it all, these are men from the South,
Yeah,
and the age of consent was 12.
that's terrible.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Still trying to
it
do
was
that now.
it was very screwed up world back then.
Yeah, but now everything's perfect. Everything's
Oh,
perfect. You nailed it.
yeah, nailed it. We got it right this time, guys.
Nailed it.
Go us.
Yeah, nailed
So-
it, guys. This is the finish line.
This is as good as it's gonna get. I'll drink to that. So you're going into this band experience, and you guys, what's the first live experience you have with the band?
You wanna take this one?
Oh, it was Doug Fur, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
see, like on the podcast, it might not sound that cool. No, Doug Fur's a big fucking deal in Portland. It's right up there with it's if you're gonna go see somebody like Judas Priest or Kiss, you're gonna go to like a big ass fucking like Coliseum. But if you're going to see like a good current band, Doug Fur's like right at the top of the list. And somehow Phil got us in to open for one of my favorite bands in Portland, the Prids.
Mhm.
And it was just like, okay, yeah, you guys can open for us. And somehow like they flew into town, like Jason and Phil flew into town, and me and the bass player like had shit going, and then we practiced for maybe a week. It was fucking bizarre. At one point the sound guy was talking to Phil for like 15 minutes, just like, okay, yeah, what do you want for your sound? And Phil's talking to him, and then finally at the end he turns his paper around to Phil, and it's like what was it a picture of?
I don't know, a milk carton.
It's like a milk carton, and just like he was clearly just doodling and just fucking off for 15 minutes. This dude is like 70 years old, and I was like, dude, like we're gonna sound like shit. And it was the best sound I've had in Portland ever.
No
It was
shit.
incredible. I was actually talking to my other band about this yesterday at band practice. And I was like, dude, like, I don't know how the fuck it happened. And I was like, honestly, you know how it happened? It's probably because like Phil was asking for all the shit that every single band ever asks for from a sound guy.
Either
We had a little bit of reverb on the vocals. Can we get like the bass up a little bit? I'm sure that like a sound guy definitely has a whole like, yeah, okay, like it's one of these bands.
Yeah. But then again, you may have just lucked out and gotten a really badass fucking sound guy.
Oh yeah, no,
He was listening and got it, and he's just a person with busy hands and said, I'm gonna sketch a milk carton while you tell me all about it.
Yeah. No, fucking, I can't remember his name, but he's a thug, and I hope he's still alive because he was super old.
So you play around Portland quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I do now. I really miss playing with Koalra around Portland these days.
Yeah, we don't get to play much because we all live so far away from each other.
Yeah, we've got Jason in Indiana, we've got you in Colorado, and me out here in Portland. I went because when I first joined Koalra, Phil was here in Portland. Now, the reason that I joined the band that I'm in now is that
Nico's other band's called Fluid Druid. They're really awesome.
I like Fluid Druid quite a bit.
hey,
you turned me on.
thanks, man.
You turned me on to Fluid Druid, actually.
There it is. They're great.
We actually are about to release a music video on Halloween.
Oh, dope.
We've got a new lineup that is just fucking. Yeah, I don't want to. No spoilers, man. Like the new kids we have are fucking nuts. We're doing some weird stuff. We're about to play. It doesn't matter. Fluid Druid's fun. Go look them up. Spotify, Bandcamp, all that shit.
Well, let's hear it. What do you guys are about to do? Because I don't know. I want to hear it. So
We're about to play Swan Dive. We're gonna be headlining on November 18th. It's gonna be a really fun show. It is an album release for a band called Lottie. They are super rad. Opener is TV Viking. Just gonna go ahead and throw all that shit out there. Boom.
Mhm.
But yeah, no. Swan Dive is an incredible venue. It's right across the street from, and I think it's the same owners as the guys who own, the fuck is that venue called? Lollipop Shop. I'm like sitting here like, I want to play Lollipop Shop, but I can't remember what it's called.
yeah, well, Koalra will probably do some shows beginning of the year. So
Fuck yeah, that's the plan.
Disasterclass.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, Phil, and ask you what the kind of like overarching lyrical theme is to Disasterclass.
I don't know. A lot of times, Nico will kind of come up with the ideas, and I'll formulate things around them. Honestly,
Don't put me on the spot, man. Like,
yeah. Deflected that to you there.
No, I'm just like, hey Phil, here's your writing prompt. Here's a song title.
Yeah, he gives me a song title, and then I write it.
This is the word that I decided.
I kind of get into an emotional space around the song title, honestly, and then build around that. But yeah,
It's kind of like automatic writing. That's an
I
interesting.
did just watch Rose Red.
get AI to do it all now.
So since there doesn't seem to be an overarching theme, is there a mood? Is there something that you're kind of point that you're kind of trying to drive home with it?
I don't know. What do you think, Nico, with Disasterclass?
Disasterclass is definitely like I mean, I was actually thinking about it earlier, and it's very sad happy. If that makes sense. It's like some of the key changes is the wrong. Sorry, words are hard. Right. Some of the music's written in major, but it's still so like there's something that hits you in the fucking gut, and the lyrics do the same thing. Like especially with like the title track, Disasterclass. It's written in major, so it sounds very happy, but there's still something that makes you feel like somebody's kind of tugging at your guts. It's all about being sad happy. The thing is that like it's like what we were talking about earlier, how like with the fires burned, how that's a very at the end of like everything's toast, like it's all fucked. Disasterclass is kind of the opposite. It's like it starts off with the calm, and then like what do we do from here? I think Disasterclass is very optimistic in its sadness and its optimism. I think that a lot of people should embrace both their pessimism and optimism. And I mean, like the world's bad. Let's just listen to music that makes us feel better. And even if some of that music makes you feel sad, it's still very sad happy.
Like The Cure. The Cure is sad happy.
It's actually really funny because earlier when I thought about the idea of sad happy, and I was like Lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
Lullaby by The Cure. Lullaby by The Cure. Oh shit, what else was there? It was Lullaby by The Cure. It was Everything We Ever Wanted Was Everything by Bauhaus. And shit, there was one more. Yeah, I can't remember. But it's in that same vein of very sad, happy. Bauhaus, Susie. There was one more. Have you ever heard of My Dad Is Dead?
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm in love with that one record I've ever heard by them. Like, yeah, that band's fucking incredible. When did they come out? Like 90, maybe 89? They
I
were
think
like one of those
89, 90,
groups like, yeah,
91.
we did this in the 90s when there wasn't the internet.
Yeah. But you know that's something that isn't done enough, for one thing, to try and kind of, you know, fuse that. And the fact that you guys kind of wrote something in major in and of itself, you know, coming from a post-punk background, a lot of minor key involved there.
Yeah.
You
And
know what
that's
I
the
mean?
thing, that like, oh, that's right. That's the other band. The Chameleons did a re-release of one of their records, and there's a B-side on it called Dear Dead Days.
Mhm.
And it was like the first time that I was really introduced to something that like that sounded so happy, but it made me feel so sad. If you can, do yourself a huge favor tonight and listen to Dear Dead Days by the Chameleons. Every listener, like both of you, listen to that fucking song. It is devastatingly happy.
Yeah, that's
Or,
only on the re-release, right? Because I
yeah,
own the original,
double
and
disc edition. Yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
I love the Chameleons. I
Oh,
love the Chameleons.
uh,
I love the band Soft Kill, because in their beginning stages they sounded like the Chameleons.
Shadow House actually opened for the Chameleons.
Oh, nice. My
The
God.
Chameleons. Nice. Were you
What's
with them
that?
then? Were you
I
playing with
was
them?
not. It was
Oh,
it was short, maybe 2 years after I left.
oh, really? Yeah.
But
That's a good gig to get.
but Script to the Bridge was a huge influence on my writing at that point. So the first Shadow House record is basically the Chameleons meets Interpol.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with either of those.
Not even a little bit.
Not even remotely. When that first Interpol record was about to come out, I was living in New York City still,
Oh.
and they were playing constantly.
Oh yeah.
They were everywhere. I got to see them probably 7 or 8 times before that record even came out. And they and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and to a lesser degree, TV on the radio.
I lived in New York around that time too.
Oh no!
And actually, I was playing in a band, and
Nice.
oh, that's the
my entire chest is dedicated to TV on the radio.
Nice.
I love that band. I will die on that hill. And it devastates me. Don't put this in the podcast.
Okay.
It devastates me to know that they don't do shit anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, you fucking serious? Like, how did you not?
There's a reason for that.
Okay, I want to know.
All right, it's not going to go on the podcast.
Don't do, yeah. I really do want to know that.
The dude who does their production for them, who's also in the band. I think he's one of the guitar players. I'm not entirely sure.
The guy who died of cancer?
Not him. It's the other one. It's the other guitar player. The one who died of cancer. Obviously, it's not him.
Okay.
The other guitar player, I don't remember his name, but when he was producing he was producing my best friend's ex-girlfriend's record. Okay. And he pulled some really, really gnarly shit with her. And she told the rest of the band, and they didn't break the band up over it, but they were all like, we're not fucking with each other anymore. There's a lot of internal beef with TV on the radio, and
no.
Yeah, they don't fuck with each other anymore.
That first record is a fucking banger. It's so good. That whole album is just mute. So like 2007, that's when that came out. It was TV on the radio. It was the Horrors' first record.
Yeah.
And it was who the fuck else was it? The AES released not Maps, Show Your Bones. And the Arctic Monkeys released their first record.
Yeah.
That was the only reason I know all that is because it was my senior year of high school. So I was like, look at all this cool music coming out.
and that was 2007.
Yeah, it was.
God damn. I don't even remember how old I was in 2007, but God, how old were we, Phil? How old were we, Phil?
I am currently 34. I am going to be 35 in like a week.
Well, don't rush that one. Savor 34 as much as possible, because 35 was the thin red line for me. That's when everything started to hurt a little more.
Oh, my thin red line was a long time ago.
Well, yeah, you had that accident.
I had that accident. I've had like 3 knee surgeries. I'm just like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, boys.
You say that now, but when you're approaching 50 and you have arthritis and you hate,
I already have arthritis, man.
Yeah, but it hurts a lot more when you're, not quite as
not a
young.
long time.
What years did you live in New York, Peter?
I moved there when I graduated high school in 1993 to go to college.
Oh,
Stayed there for 4 years, came back here for a year, moved back there, and then I think I moved back here again in like 06, 07.
Where is here?
I'm in Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's my point of origin.
I won't.
Did you go to school in the city?
Yeah, I went to NYU.
Oh no, I meant
it was what? Oh, The Office. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
The Office in Biden.
Yeah. That guy. He's just as bad as the other one.
He's
God.
not just as bad. He's literally like this much not as bad.
Yeah. I've come to the real, and they just named a major thoroughfare on the highway in Scranton after Joe Biden. It's the Joe Biden Expressway.
That's embarrassing.
I actually avoid it now just because it's named that.
Okay, so obviously this won't be on the podcast. But do you know why they do that shit? Is because obviously like Trump has that fucking cult behind him, and they're trying to like kind of create this cult behind Biden. It's like, bro, like none of us fucking voted for Joe Biden because we like Joe Biden.
We hated Trump
for Joe Biden because Trump was a fucking moron.
Scumbag.
Yeah, I'm just like, are you shitting me right now? Like, no, don't sit here and be like, fuck yeah, Biden was like, no. Like, hold his feet to the fucking fire. Like, he's a fucking politician. He's a public servant. Fuck you. Stop making these people fucking gods.
He is funneling money into basically an ethnic cleansing in Palestine.
Right now. But yeah, this clearly won't be on the podcast, right?
No.
Like, you won't do that.
I'm very vocal on my own social media about Palestine.
Pro-Palestine man.
They hate the Zionists, and that Peter guy's a Nazi.
But yeah, no, it's fucking it's not fucking fantastic right now.
No, and that if we're gonna get a bright side out of any of that, it's gonna make for some really great music, because I can say with a great amount of certainty that in the mid 80s, coming off of that first wave of punk, things were still very polarized under that whack job Reagan. And my father and my uncle were taking me to these like rallies and stuff, as liberal Vietnam veterans that they were very much against authoritarian government. So I was raised kind of going to sit-ins and stuff like that. And they took me to see The Who. And who was opening for The Who that year? The Clash. On the Combat Rock Tour. So my first concert was The Clash opening for The Who. So talk about like a brew to make someone a radical. All of this like added up to me being very much radicalized. So as much as the hair metal thing, I didn't fully get into it. I cherry picked it because there were some absolute. I still love Cinderella, for example.
I love hair metal shit.
But it was never on the menu for me, really. My sisters dug it, but I was already a punk by proxy.
Yeah.
I was more into like Bob Dylan and my
I
dad,
fucking
my
hate
mom's
Bob Dylan.
music. Really?
That's one of those, don't get me wrong, I have such an appreciation for his lyrics.
Yeah.
He's such an incredible songwriter. And when I read his shit, I was like, oh yeah, this is fantastic. And then I hear the song, I'm like, God, just shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Just shut up, Bob. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Fuck you, Bob Dylan.
And dude, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I've tried.
It just sounds
I've tried
funny
to be-
saying that.
Yeah, it does.
I've had friends, I've had coworkers like, God, I love Bob Dylan. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking great. And they're like, yeah, check this out. I'm like, yeah, it's super good, dude. And like, if I actually listen, I'm like, dude, bro, like, this is bad. Like in my 20s, I was really like, I was just a people pleaser. I was like, yeah, it's fantastic, man. Dude, in my 30s, I have no time for that shit. Like Bob Dylan needs to write and shut his fucking mouth. He needs to give songs to people and just shut the fuck up.
Oh God, that's awesome.
Like, dude, are you kidding me? Fucking like, he should have shut the fuck up in the 70s when Hendrix was like, hey, yeah, this is my version of your song. And
Yeah.
it was 10 times better than his. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, hey, maybe that's a one-off. Maybe that's a one-off. Hey, it's Jimi Hendrix, who was also a god.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just be like, hey, this god did this god's song better. But realistically, My Chemical Romance did a Bob Dylan song better.
Oh
And
yeah.
they're not rock gods. They fucking suck, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, if they did a Bob Dylan song better, then Bob Dylan fucking sucks at playing his own music.
You need a podcast, dude. If anybody needed a podcast, it's fucking Nico.
Don't get Nico started on the band Cake.
Shot if I fucking have a
Oh, Cake
podcast
sucks.
on that.
Cake sucks. I'm sorry.
Wait, you say Cake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said don't get you started on the band Cake.
Hey, wait. Also, your picture isn't moving anymore. You're just like this.
Who, me?
No, really?
No.
Oh.
Are you moving on yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving. I see him moving.
All right, that's fine. Phil's just like this on mine. And he's been like this for like 10 minutes.
He's a thinker. He's doing the thinker, bro.
Yeah. I'm on the
yeah.
pot.
Show us the stinker next.
All right, so really,
on the toilet.
So, Nico, what's the deal with Cake, man? Why do you hate Cake?
Cake fucking sucks.
Yes, they do.
I hate Cake. Dude, it's one of those bands that like I literally don't know where to start. It is a long skirt, fucking short jacket, whatever the fuck it is. Oh, dude, I want to put a bullet in my fucking head every time I hear that shit.
Well, he brings nothing to the table, this guy. He's not singing. That's not singing.
No,
Even, it's not rapping. It's not singing. The delivery is semi-conversational, whimsical.
I'm like,
lyrics.
This sounds like a dude who was in a sitcom once, decided that he wanted to start a band, so he hired some musicians and he's talking over stuff.
Shatner.
And it was like,
doing the Shatner.
He has a fan base now. It must be because he was on that sitcom that one time. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I was like, oh no, he was never on a sitcom. And I have no idea why people like him. And then like the fucking Fires Burn shit. Like we went to fucking Hallowed Halls and the fucking Cake played in that place, and they had like the sound engineer had put like the record that he had engineered like up on the wall, and I was so fucking furious because Phil and Jason kept talking about like, oh yeah, there's Cake out. I was like, fuck, I don't care. Like that's fucking like, can we record somewhere else? Like I love this recording studio, but I can't believe they recorded Cake as like a fucking like how do you respect yourself at that point? Like you put that out into the world.
What they were was a very budget version of a band called Soul Coughing. Soul Coughing was incredible. I don't know if either of you remember them or have heard of them.
Jazzy, I know about them. I never listened to them, but I know about them. Yeah.
Jazzy, trip hop. The vocalist does this almost hip hop rap cadence that's undeniably goofy and awesome. It was groundbreaking for the time period that it came out. and Cake was a very, very poor rendition of what Soul Coughing had done, in my opinion.
I don't know for sure that Phil or Jason actually like Cake. To
You'll
this
never know.
day, it's been like
You'll never know.
To this day, like it's been like 2 years, and I'm still just like, yeah, no, they're definitely fucking with me because no self-respecting musician would tell me that they like Cake. And they're just like, yeah, no, Nico, like listen to Cake, and it's always like kind of a fucking like a prod, like a poke at the side, it's like, hey, buddy, It's never been like, hey, like listen to this really good song by Cake. Not a single time in 2 years have they been like, hey, at least listen to this one. This is a really good song. You'll like it. They've never said that.
Yeah, because they're
Not
winding you up.
time.
They're winding you up for
Cake
fun.
is good. Let's watch Nico fucking lose his mind.
So, I have a left fielder for you.
There we go.
If I don't know if you've ever listened to my show, but I only have one pre-prescribed, one pre-written question that I pose to everyone, and it has nothing to do with music. It has everything to do with your personality. That question being, what is it that terrifies you on an existential level? What is that dread that's been ever present that kind of drives your personality, that fear, that thing, that one tipping point that's like, ugh, I won't go there.
I'll let Phil go first, but I do want to like ask questions about like, let's go ahead and like establish what this question means.
Okay.
Is this supposed to be silly, or is it supposed to be like
No.
super fucking heavy?
It's dead serious. If that's what you're asking, it's, in my opinion, what we fear at our core is what really defines our personalities, because it informs our decision making, and what you do in order to better your life or to set your trajectory in life is quite definitely based upon what it is that terrifies you, because that's the thing you don't want to end up in. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right, Phil.
I don't know. Mine right now would have to be answering first.
You fucking dick.
You got anything, Nico? Because I'm not really sure.
I mean, honestly, everything fucking terrifies me, man. Like the only reason that anybody's like the fun, like just up front, the guy that you fucking throw a hand grenade at a fucking party, like,
yeah,
the only reason that you are that guy is because you're fucking terrified of everything.
Yes, I am Nico in my life. In perpetuity, I'm Nico. Nico is most like my personality, like gregarious, like trying to
absolutely
put on, like just trying to deflect. I'm deflecting at all times.
Yeah, I'm just like, when people give me attention, I fucking like reflect it back, and then they think that that's fun. I was like, no, I'm trying to get you people to talk amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to be in this. The idea of when people talk about like, having jobs and careers and all this shit, I'm fucking always terrified that, I mean, like, even in that instance, like, you're gonna be left behind. Like, I'm a musician and an artist, like, I'm gonna be left behind. Like, think about, like, when was the last, do you even know your great-grandfather's name?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what about your great-great-grandfather's name?
Well, I have you by the balls there, because they're all named.
There's gonna be a point, like,
there's a tipping point,
1 to 200 years where you're gonna be like, yeah, I have no fucking clue.
They were all named Peter Tansky. That's the only reason why I know.
I was gonna say, I looked at your fucking name in the corner. I was like, God damn it, let me guess. This motherfucker's named after somebody.
Yeah, that's what it is. Into Poland, Piotr. That's their firstborn son, Piotr. Except for my firstborn son. I broke that cycle because fuck that.
Yeah, fucking respect, man.
Yeah.
I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah, you gotta. His middle name's Pete.
That's dope.
His first name's Kanan. I was like, nah, he's his own dude, man. This is his life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
But
mean, like, the thing that I'm most afraid of is that, like, for the first half of for a lot of my, like, my earlier life, I've had a lot of weird trauma. Like, my father's in prison for like some weird, like, what do you call it? Oh shit. Um, like mildly infamous shit that has been talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast multiple times.
whoa,
Yeah, like some of that shit. Um, didn't have a mom, like all kinds of weird shit. Like that gives you some trauma.
yeah,
But the thing that I'm afraid of is I don't know if I'm afraid of being tied to the people before me or if I'm afraid of not being tied to anything after I'm gone.
because you're definitely like there's got to be a part of you that's afraid, maybe that you are part of your father because your dad's in jail for some infamous shit, right?
Yeah.
But that you're still your dad. You love your dad. Everybody loves their dad. My dad fucking legit killed people. I have photographic evidence of such. And he's scary. He was scary. God rest his soul. He was terrifying. But I still love him because I'm programmed
Yeah.
to, you know what I'm saying?
I have been programmed to kind of be the same. Like just like, oh yeah, love your dad. Fucking like there's a big thing here. But realistically, I'm just like, yeah, no, like that's programmed into you. No, like this dude went to prison when you were like 13 years old. Like that's fine. But no, like it's more about just being like, hey, the thing that okay, so here we go. Now we're diving right into it. What I'm most terrified about is that if I actually do something incredible, hint hint, Phil, maybe we could do something incredible. What I'm most terrified about is that somehow my Sistine Chapel would be linked to the dick hole. Okay, like cut that out. Would be linked to my father.
I mean, listen, I think we all have misgivings about our dads because they're human, right? And they make these mistakes and some of them do some pretty nefarious shit. My father included. I can tell you honestly that my father shot children in Vietnam. Those children had bombs strapped to them, but he shot them dead, and it haunted him his whole life. And yet it also kind of halfway made him bloodthirsty in his way. I mean, there's a reason why I've been vegan since I was like 13.
I'm vegan, dude.
Yeah, I'm vegan for like a long fucking time.
Yeah,
and
brother.
and you know, these things, like, your personality gets formed by
Yeah.
as much the things that you dislike as the things that you aspire to and strive
And that's
toward.
the part that fucking sucks. Is just trying to wrangle all that shit.
But that's everybody's experience, and what I've come to realize, and I firmly stand behind this, is everybody's worst is as bad as everybody else's worst.
Yeah.
And
And that's the thing is that like like I don't mean to like cut you off, but like that's what this album is. This album is just like is at your most human. Just the world fucking sucked there for a minute. It still fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And our last record was very much the world sucks. This new record is like, yeah, the world sucks, but we're kind of fucking coming out of it. Like this is a soundtrack to somehow fucking stepping out of whatever the fuck we've been going through for fucking 4 years. And like that's why I'm so fucking proud of like what we've done. And I'm looking at Phil's fucking still shot where he's just grabbing his chin like this, that's been there for like fucking 30 minutes, and it's cracking me up. But realistically, like that, like I mean that a whole lot. Like the world has been so fucking bad for a while. But yeah, no, Disasterclass, like no question, like is fucking beautiful in that sense. It's very just, I mean, where else are we gonna go?
Up.
Like you've gotta build up from somewhere.
Yeah. And that's you're when you've reached a point where there's legitimately like almost no lower that you can go, it's a blessing, because now you have nowhere to go but up.
I mean, and it's so I know that it's oh shit. It's the word. I mean, it's been said before.
Like a cliche?
Sure. Almost. Yeah, we'll do with cliche. But yeah, I mean, like it is like the whole cliche of oh yeah, fucking never mind.
What do you mean? Or do you mean like a platitude?
More so cliche.
Okay.
But in that sense, it really is just like, yeah, like when it comes down to it, it's all like, what the fuck else are we supposed to do? It's like, yeah, like COVID was the one thing that the entire world had to deal with, like together. I mean, for my lifetime, that's the only time I'm so sorry. I can't look at fucking, I need to like take a fucking screenshot of this because Phil has been looking at me like this for like 40 minutes and it's been stressing me the fuck out. I'm just like, hang on. All right, Phil, I'm gonna send this to you.
Okay. I'm sure I don't want to see it.
Dude, it's so fucking funny and it's been cracking me up and it's been fucking like blowing, like it's so bad. I'm just like, dude, like stop looking at me, Phil.
You gonna show me that picture or what, Nico? Just show it to the camera for the kids at home.
I guess they should do that. Oh well, the thing is that I can't see, like mine froze too, and it's like stressing me out, dude.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So Phil, you have nothing for me insofar as that almost preternatural terror that haunts you. The one thing.
I mean, I don't know.
Here, I'll let you boys talk for a minute. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette.
All right.
Mine's gonna be all about, honestly, my kids and stuff like that. So
sure.
And fatherhood, and not falling into all the tropes of fatherhood of the past and all those sort of things too. And so yeah, mine's really gonna revolve all around family and children and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, because you like as dads, especially like being the both of us are older and have kids. Yeah. Not perpetuating the things that we really disliked about what our parents brought to the mix.
Right.
I mean, the only thing we could really do about that is just not do it. Yeah. And sometimes at your weakest, I think all of us find ourselves deferring to that which we learned, and you have to learn how to catch yourself and self-correct in that moment.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that's the magic of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's kind of trying to not be that. How old are your children?
They are 12, 9, and 7. So yeah. Also, a lot of that is, did I have kids too late, and what kind of effect is that going to have on them, sort of thing too. But
well,
that's always a big fear and a big question, too. Like,
Well, I can tell you from both ends of that what the effects are really, because I have a daughter who's 23.
Oh well, yeah.
I have a son who's 4.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
At 47 years of age, that's one hell of a spread with kids 18 years apart.
Yeah, very much.
I'm a better dad now than I was then.
Yeah, I'm sure that I handle it better too than I would have back then. But
I,
one of the things that I really find that they have to deal with that they wouldn't have had to deal with if I had kids younger is the biggest thing is they don't have to deal with or they do have to deal with death a lot more. Like when I was a kid, my parents had me at the normal age of I don't know what it was, 23, 24 or whatever.
Yep.
Back then and stuff. And when I was a kid, I don't remember anybody dying when I was a kid, maybe like randomly. But now my kids, they deal with my mom dying. They deal with, my brother died, and they get to go through all this death that I never had to go through. So that's one of the things about having kids older that's a big fear for me. It's like, I'm putting them through experiencing all this loss and stuff like that. So
and there's a guilt attached to that, I'm sure.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
But in the same token, like it's an inescapable thing. Everyone is going to face loss.
Yeah.
What not everyone gets is a fully formed, fully adjusted dad.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate that my daughter didn't get to have me at my best self. I don't think she has any complaints really, but my son gets me when I'm like the best version of myself. And I think your kids are getting you at the best version of yourself. So at the cost of maybe losing some people a little earlier than they normally would have, they get to be more well adjusted and mentally strong enough to handle loss.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the prescient point here. That's the thing that's the great line of delineation is you had time to build yourself before you had kids.
For sure. Yep.
And that's a big fucking deal. And I'm sure that makes its way into the lyrics of your records as well. Just
absolutely,
having to shoulder that responsibility, because it's a bigger deal, in my opinion, to have kids later in life than when you're in your 20s, because we're fearless when we're in our 20s.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't give a shit. We think, no, nothing can touch me, nothing can stop me.
Oh yeah.
Not when you're
absolutely. Yeah. No. That fades away for sure. Over time. So yeah.
There was a time when I was able to legitimately, I'm a plumber by trade, like climb up scaffolding, like 40, 50, 100 feet in the air without a safety harness, without a lift, just no problem.
Yeah.
Ask me to do that now.
Right. Yeah.
I would be shitting bricks for certain.
Yeah. Even things like when I was in college and stuff, I would have like crazy parties at my house with punk bands playing in the basement and stuff.
Yeah.
And now to think of doing that, I'm just like, I would never even have the confidence to do that. Like, it just seems so scary to even put something on at that level now. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. So all that stuff kind of fades, but
well, there's no comparing when Nico grew up versus when we'd grown up, because we were allowed to go take off and just, you're home when the street lights are on and that's it. There was like oversight was not at the top of the list for parents in the 70s and 80s. To the point where right after or right before the 11 o'clock news, the thing would come up. It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
Remember that shit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now everybody knows where the fuck their kids are at, because we're all nervous, and maybe it's to the detriment of the kids. I don't know, but certainly I don't think the world is any worse with dangerous to children than it was before, other than like, the internet.
Yeah.
But we're just more hip to it. We're more aware. and that instills fear, and that is the thing that I question the most. Are we doing more damage to these kids by being helicopter parents?
Right. Yeah. Yep. I'm guilty of that too, because it's, I'll take my son who's 13. Sorry, I think I said he was 12 early, but he's 13. To the skate park and drop him off, and he has just like a cheap burner type phone, and if I can't get a hold of him on it, I'm like, what? Why? Why's your phone off and stuff? But yeah, do a little bit of helicoptering myself to them. But our parents, just like you said, they wouldn't know where we were all day long.
Yeah,
so we showed up.
Dude, I was the last generation to ride bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
it got to a point where I think it was right around like junior high. No, it was high school when MySpace was a thing. So it was very okay, this is a thing, but I can't imagine what it would be like to just be a child and just be like, yeah, cool. Okay, MySpace isn't a thing. I think kids are what, TikTok?
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram, and it was hard pass. I'm very just instead, I'm just gonna not have a kid.
And that if you're of a mind that that's not what you want out of your life, the best thing you could do is not do that.
Oh shit! I've been married for, let's see. I was married in 2009. What is that, 15 years, 14 years, something like that. It's been a while, and I mean, my family's just when's it happening? Fucking not today.
Man, I mean, hats off to you, because how old were you when you were married?
Dude, I got married when I was 19 or 20.
I didn't get married until I was in my 40s.
Dude, respect.
Not for any other reason than the fact that I knew truly in my heart of hearts that I would never make a good husband.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just wasn't. I wasn't equipped that way.
I knew that when I got married, and I was like, well, fingers crossed. And luckily, my wife is a fucking thug, and she is dope as shit, and she's my favorite person in the whole fucking world.
There you go.
Attest to that.
Yes.
Bill and Jason love Katie. Also, fucking Katie is. Oh, okay. So now that we're talking about Katie, there is one thing that I do need to bring up, and it is in regard to Disasterclass. This is super important. The song Undertow. I don't know, Pete, have you heard Undertow?
Not yet.
Phil, did you send him that one?
I've heard Undertow.
No, well, yeah, you have.
So there is a song called Undertow. It's great. It's one of our singles. It is super good. But there was a whole other half of that song that was supposed to happen.
Always forget there was that intro.
Fuck, dude, how dare you? I always forget. I don't.
Sorry.
So there is a whole. So it all starts with that my wife and I are from the Oregon coast, and Undertow is the undertow of a current, at the beach, from the time that we're born, we're just hey, you're gonna, there's an undertow current, it's gonna suck you out into the ocean. The ocean looks fine, the ocean looks really, it's your friend, but it's gonna suck you out into it if you're not paying attention. And we recorded the entirety of the song, and then one day Phil was just we're just gonna go ahead and cut out that entire first half. The first half, don't get me wrong, the single's fucking great, the song is fucking fantastic, but like I didn't really give a shit. I was like, yeah, no, it's a great fucking single. Hell yeah, Phil. Like, go ahead and go. And then me and Katie are sitting there and we're talking. She's like, yeah, like this song sounds like it starts like in the middle of it. I was like, oh yeah, you want to know why? And I showed her the original, and she's like, I really respect Phil, and I really love Phil, but I can't believe that he cut the first half of that song out.
Oh no.
Dude, Katie's so mad at you. She's
Sorry, Katie.
so mad. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like that fucking intro? And I was like, yeah, it is what it is. The song, don't get me wrong, the song as it's going to be released is really good. It's really good, but it could have been better.
Yeah, you can release the extended later, so it'll be a special surprise. So.
There it is. There it is.
There you go. Yeah, the only two I got to hear, I got some videos sent to me today.
Please tell me you got to hear Clouds.
I got to hear Clouds, and I got to hear the video. I saw the video for Disasterclass.
You need to see the video for Clouds.
I saw the video for Clouds.
Okay.
I loved both. Clouds is a fucking banger, though. There's something about that really reminds me of being 15 or 16 years old. And I keep going back to the Pixies, and you guys don't sound like the Pixies, but there's something about your dynamic shifts that are very reminiscent of maybe something that could have been adjacent to
Absolutely
Doolittle era.
Yeah, 100%.
And it makes me feel the same way that Doolittle made me feel. That record was fucking pivotal to my existence. Like,
buddy.
Oh my fucking god! I remember the day it came out. I got on my mongoose and pedaled my ass up the train tracks 2 miles to go to the record store to take the money that I pilfered from being a fucking Catholic altar boy out of the collection plate. Out of the collection plate.
I smell you're stepping in.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I would, that's how I would fund my addiction. I have almost 8,000 records behind me, and probably 25% of them came from me misappropriating funds from the Catholic Church.
Gangster as fuck. If I had a dollar for every dollar I stole from the Catholic Church, I'd have more dollars.
Do you remember young records always came out on Tuesdays?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like my teachers would be like, how come you always miss class on Tuesdays? How come you're never on school on Tuesdays? I'm like, waiting at the fucking record store.
I was like, well, that's when records come out.
Yeah.
And that changed, I think, in the, I want to say early 2000s.
Did it? Yeah.
Because of Napster. That's why it changed.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Napster.
Why did you? Because of Napster. Do you know what? How come?
Because people were getting things early. So it used to be.
It was getting leaked. So
things were getting leaked. So Tuesdays used to be the proper day to release a record.
Yeah.
And then I forget what the first record was to deviate from that. I almost want to say it was an Eminem record.
Really?
It came out on a Friday. So the record industry tailored themselves to this model of the day before the weekend, because there was, for some reason, not as much traffic online on Friday because people were going out. People were still having social lives. It's not that way anymore because your social life is in your pocket on your cellular device.
Yeah, right.
Cell phones still had not fully become the logical extension of the human body at that point. I had a Nextel two-way at that point. I do recall that because I ran a record store, but it wasn't prevalent. Now it almost doesn't matter what day you put out a record, because
right, yeah,
like nobody really cares, but Friday's the day now.
Yeah, yep.
Which is weird. And we lost Nico again. He's you're slippery, dude. You keep popping in and out
all the time. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you were there? Like, yeah, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, that was wild.
Dude, you guys really fucking, you guys just froze again.
Come on. No. There he goes again.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, this is
So
chaotic.
8,000 records. That's a really big collection.
Yeah, and you know, that's a mixture of, you know, 45, 7 inches, you know, 10 inches, 12 inches, and a lot of oddball sizes in the interim. But I can say with a, you know, a very great degree of certainty that all of those records I love and appreciate. It's not like, you know, I have picked up things along the way and hung on to them just because.
Right,
If I didn't love them, I would have jettisoned them. So that should tell you that I really love a lot of different music.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What's scary though is at least 400 of those records are T-Rex records.
Wait.
Really?
I just came back in here. All I heard was T-Rex records. Like, what?
I own almost 8,000 records, and I love them all. But the biggest collection that I own is my T-Rex collection.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mark Bolan is
a goddamn national treasure.
Mark Bolan is the reason I am Peter Tansky. I discovered T-Rex when I was a small child, going through my dad's records and finding my own voice in my dad's music. My dad's favorite band was the Doors, so I love the Doors, obviously.
I fucking hate the Doors.
Yeah, and then understandable.
My wife loves the Doors. I have no idea how the fuck she married me, because that was her favorite band, and I was like, I'm gonna beat that out of you with my fist.
Don't you hate David Lynch too? And your wife loves David Lynch.
What? We've been married for fucking 15 years.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, isn't it David Lynch she likes and you don't like David Lynch?
I fucking hate David Lynch too.
Why?
David Lynch is a fucking idiot. No, I can't do it. In fact, the drummer who just left Fluid Druid, he just moved down to New Orleans. His dad was the sound guy for David Lynch through like all of his movies, through everything. I was like, I don't care, dude. I don't care. And he's like, what? In fact, this bass 6 came from his studio.
No way.
Yeah, like it came from David Lynch's studio. And my old drummer was like, yeah, you know, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm a drummer, and I was like, cool, I'll take it. Yeah, no, $1 million heart, that boy. I heard a lot of really fun stories that they probably shouldn't end up like on a podcast, so I won't tell them here.
Oh man,
dude, there's some really fucking good ones too.
Oh, come on. You don't dangle that carrot in front of a motherfucker and be expect him to be like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, there's some weird ones.
I was in his mansion.
So like you talking about the 3-part mansion where there's like his mansion. Okay, so there was the 3-part mansion where it was like, here's the one that he lives in, here's the one that like whatever, and here's the one where all the what is it, the music and the mastering and all that shit happens. Mm-hmm. And then there's this other, like this third one where like I don't really know what happens there.
So you know what happens there?
Yes.
Oh Jesus, because I don't.
I've seen photos from that room.
Oh God, You're killing me.
So he used to, David Lynch. Obviously, this is all fucking off the record.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, I don't have anything to be like, hey, like what I'm telling you is fucking real. Here's some proof.
Mm-hmm.
This is all fucking just like, hey, I know a guy. Do you want me to tell you some stories about a guy? But no, fucking he was like, yeah, dude, fucking like it was all this shit, and then fucking like at one point, so my other band's old drummer, it is my old band's other drummer. Was just like, yeah, dude, fucking, he used to just send me these pictures, and he would bring these fucking photographs of these women that he was like, hey, yeah, come to this third house, like on the fucking compound. And he was like, yeah, like come over here. And like he would take pictures of these women in like really just weird fucking like situations. And then he would just like, he's like, yeah, you'll totally be in a movie one day. And then he would just like send these photos to like all of his friends. It was like, Merry Christmas, love, David Lynch. And it was these women who were just like, I can't wait to be in a David Lynch movie. He's like, yeah, cool. Like, lay down naked on this bed covered in blood, and I'll talk to you never.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I'm like, it would have been maybe kind of cool if I liked you, but I hated David Lynch before that. I fucking cannot stand David Lynch. I'm the only person I know who fucking hates David Lynch.
I love him. I think a lot of that has to do with my age.
My wife loves David Lynch, and she's like a year older than me, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't do it, dude.
One of my great friends growing up went to film school and got a job as a DP for David Lynch. So he and his girlfriend were going to live in one of the mansions on the compound with David Lynch and his daughter and the whole family, right?
Nice.
So my job and my best friend Jay's job was to go with them down Route 66 across country to get them there in their car, and then we were going to fly back. So we made a big adventure out of it. We were still young.
Yeah.
And you know, apparently David Lynch doesn't give a fuck who comes into the house.
No, he doesn't give a shit.
So we end up in there, and I'm drinking coffee with him and smoking cigarettes on his couch. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm thinking in my head, I love you, man. Like, I love your movies. I love fucking Twin Peaks, right? And he's like me. He's a fucking dude. Like, when I still had hair, I had a pompadour. We were two dudes from Pennsylvania with pompadours, smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and talking about fucking psych rock and shit. He was a straight dude. He was a G. He was a G. I will tell you that.
Dude, fucking, like, you're talking about, so like you're talking about this fucking, you're talking about pompadours. I'm like, bro, like, we didn't even talk about it earlier. I was like, when we were talking about fucking like early bands, like, dude, like my first band, like prior to fucking like post-punk shit, was straight up fucking like rockabilly shit.
I was in rockabilly bands.
I had the biggest pompadour in the whole world. Like this. Oh, I'm talking fucking like old school Mad Sin, Necro, fucking weird shit.
My first tattoo is my really shitty Stray Cats tattoo that I got in 1991. Oh, dude.
You got my coffin with the fucking love at first fright.
Yeah. I'm like a straight fucking rockabilly kid. I got to see the Meteors like half a dozen times, man.
He was like, oh, it's embarrassing. But the fact that you're a rockabilly kid, I'm like, what's up, boy?
Yeah, buddy.
Fucking, like, my hollow body tattooed there. Yeah.
Are you showing tattoos off?
Yeah. See what you got.
You're cool tattoo. It's like a toilet.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some very questionable shit too. Like, my Stray Cats tattoo is incredibly questionable. It was a hunt and poke kind of affair, but I was a kid and it was illegal back then anyway. You couldn't get tattooed legally on the East Coast, but you know, you get shit. It happens. But you know, that whole rockabilly thing, like that's that first gasp of actual rock and roll that it harkens back to, that's the blueprint for punk. That's the blueprint for
absolutely
all of it. You know, that's the bedrock of what we all love. So it makes sense that,
I mean, like, well, and that's the thing is that what the fuck? I can't remember who the artist was, and like, I definitely don't want to like talk about it like on the record until I actually find out. So maybe I should look it up. Never mind. Hang on. The artist who did Rumble 1950s dude. Link Ray, Jesus.
Link Ray.
Christ.
Oh shit.
So like, I mean, like Link Ray was the guy who fucking basically was like, hey, like here's distortion, have some.
Yeah.
The fact that fucking like Rumble was a thing, and they were just like, oh yeah, we're gonna ban this song because people will fight if this song plays.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and that's the thing is that Link Ray was a Native American, and that's the thing is that like nobody talks about like the Native influence in this shit. I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Exit. It's XIT.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, cool. They're called Zit. And I'm just like, oh, cool. It's called it's Exit. There's a record they have that's, I don't know, man. Like it was one of those records that I heard, and I don't know what to tell you. Like it's brutal. Hang on. Wait for it. You guys have plenty of other shit to talk about? There it is.
You mentioned Link Ray, and it calls to mind a lot of the freak out rock that came out of like Sympathy for the Record Industry, like Man or Astro Man, or groups like that really took up that mantle and took chances. And I don't know how many bands are still taking chances on themselves and allowing themselves to get out there.
That's the thing that I think that like, I think that we're living a time in which like people like, it's like, oh yeah, like people take chances, but people aren't taking chances anymore. And the thing is that we have so many I mean, like when you think about like taking chances, like Link Ray, for instance, it's like, oh yeah, I stabbed a bunch of holes in my fucking speaker. That's taking a chance. That's taking a chance in the 1950s. What the fuck how do we take chances these days? It's definitely not in sound, because we can take any guitar pedal that's available. There's no sound that's going to be like, oh yeah, like you're taking a chance. We're not taking chances anymore. The only thing that takes chances is what Phil's doing.
Yeah.
Phil, you gotta push that envelope, buddy.
It's here though. It's taking the chance you're taking now is on yourself and with yourself and allowing yourself to be heard in a very honest way, putting yourself out there. And that's all any of us can do anymore, because all of the major innovations in sound have pretty much been explored, with the exception of maybe like power electronics and death industrial, like straight noise music. And none of that's even shocking anymore, because it's been done, it's been explored, and it's not tuneful. You cannot tell me that the Beatles would have made a great power electronics record, because there's no tune to it. They wouldn't have even considered it.
Well, but that's the thing, is the Beatles definitely laid a foundation for a lot of shit to happen.
The way Fires ends reminds me very much of the end of the song "A Day in the Life" by the Beatles. That abrupt that, to me, that's very much the way that record ends.
"Day in the Life" is one of my favorite songs of all time.
It's my favorite Beatles song for sure.
No question.
Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head. They're telling an entire story, and it falls into this symphonic crescendo that breaks down in chaos, and then ends with the strings just evening out, like,
especially with fucking like Ding Dong fucking hitting his foot on The floor at the end.
But
I was like, Ding Dong, what's his name? Oh yeah, it's fucking drummer.
Ringo.
Who cares? I can't drum. I'm just kidding. But no, if you can listen to the song "War Cry" by a band called Exit. They're a Native American band from like 1971. Fucking incredible. The song "War Cry." They're like most of their songs are very like they've got a bunch of like native war cry. Definitely don't put any of this in the podcast because I don't remember like how to say it culturally sensitively.
My wife is part Blackfoot, so
Okay, dope.
I can help you with that. Basically, what you're looking for is like battle music, like war cry music.
Well, no. The song is called "War Cry."
Right.
For the love of God, listen to it like now. Like it's so good.
But what like they were culling from is traditional First Nations
Oh yeah,
folk music,
You know, well, the thing is that I lived in Okanagan, Washington for a very long time, and it was very like all of my friends were native, but it was also just like yeah, like white kids. And it's like yeah, it's fine. Like I don't care. Like I don't know anything about your culture. Like I'm so sorry.
that's not our fault fully, especially when we're young.
It's also not their fault.
No, it's not their fault either. But what happened was that is something that has been intentionally omitted from the historical record. You know, there is, at least when I was growing up, you have history class, and it is a Eurocentric, whitewashed version of the sequence of events. You know, there's no like that they would gloss over all of the finer points on, you know, the massacres that occurred and like not only the enslavement, chattel enslavement of people of color, but the Chinese during when we were building the railroads, things like that.
And that's absolutely, and that's the thing is that like I'm the first person in my family. I'm the first person in my family born in the States. So it's this whole like I'm just like yeah, like this is all bad. And it's like and you're bad. I'm like I'm also not bad. I don't know where the fuck I belong. Like I'm the first person in my family born in the States. But my father's in prison. Like and this whole just like now where do I go?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Well, yeah, because you're not intrinsically tied necessarily to the soil on which you walk, right? Oh, there he goes. I guess we'll wait for him to come back for me to finish that thought, but I don't know.
I was talking to somebody once and they were talking about immigrants coming over and they were like, and they're how like some of the immigrants would come over on these little rafts made out of, you know, cardboard basically. And he was like, and that's the kind of people that we want
fucking right
in the US because like they tried so hard to get here and did everything they could. And that's who we should want here is like people like that. But yeah,
absolutely, because we want anyone who has a desire and a passion to want to become one with us. That's going to be the best citizen you can imagine.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want that? But of course, you know, we just came off of still, even though Trump's been gone for years, we legitimately just came off of a president who had nothing but disdain for people who just want to live in an environment where they can self-express and you know somehow direct their own futures.
People who want more for their families, like that's who we want here. Like I don't understand.
But you know, Nico, in your case, like to be basically first generation, it's hard to align yourself with a nation that does not take responsibility for the blood on its own hands.
That's my problem, is that and the things that I'm not saying that this is all bad.
Right.
I think that America is one of the best, is like the best country. I was like, yeah, you guys are great. I was born here, and it's been fine. Like it's what it is. I've had a great time, everybody. But no, like realistically, I mean, like my family always looks at me as like, oh, the tattooed, pierced American. I'm cool. But no, realistically, I'm just like, like when it comes down to it, I think that yeah, America has a long road ahead of itself, and when people talk about like, oh yeah, are we oh, it's the best country. And you hear America being considered like the best country in the world a lot these days. I do watch the news a lot, but it's very just like, oh yeah, we're the best country, and it's like, dude, like, come on. Realistically, I think that we have a lot of work to do.
Yep.
And I don't think that the majority of people in the country think that we do have any work to do, and it fucking sucks. It's like, come on, just suck it the fuck up, Buttercup.
Yeah, well, at the very least, take a peek at what's going on in Sweden, Switzerland, Canada. Canada's fallen off a little bit now, though, I have to admit. They're getting pretty gnarly up there as well. But it comes down to the way we treat the least of us being the criminal, the prisoner. As it stands in the United States right now, prisons have been largely privatized to corporations, and they become basically just pig pens, holding cells for people to actually become better criminals and bigger drug addicts and hone their craft as criminals. Whereas if you go to Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, a lot of these so-called prisons are actually really investing themselves into the rehabilitation of human beings who've gone astray, and they treat them as such. There's no bars in a lot of these prisons. They look like cabins that they live in, and everybody has a job and everybody works with one another, and the recidivism is so low that almost 65% do not reoffend. Whereas in the United States of America, reoffense is almost a given.
I can tell you exactly what a fucking prison looks like in California. It's not ideal. My father's been in prison for shit. It's been 22 years. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's absolutely a total dirtbag.
Mm-hmm. But in the same token, no one is investing anything into him to help him to find himself as a better human being now, are they?
No.
They're storing
his family is, but
not the prison system.
No, they can't. His family can't touch him in the prison.
Yeah, no.
It's
we see him like once every 5 years.
Yeah, and does that hold the human spirit over seeing the people they love twice a decade? No. Or there's no incentive. Nothing incentivizes them to become something else.
I think that, like, at the end of the day, I remember in what was it, November 8th, 2016. I remember sitting there with a handful of friends, and like when Donald Trump was elected, all of my friends were fucking devastated. And I remember thinking, I was like, you know what, you guys, yeah, it's not great, but music's gonna get fucking sick.
Yep.
And the thing is that in 2016, fucking November 8th, I didn't know who Idols was. I
Mhm.
didn't know who the Viagra Boys was. I didn't know who any of these bands were. And I was like, yeah, I'm really excited to see where music goes. And 8 years ago, I don't know that I knew what I was talking about, but I absolutely, those bands were definitely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes great upheaval, like,
To get good music again.
yeah, to reinvigorate the creative spirit again, and to make things just like tumultuous enough to instill a sense of urgency into an otherwise complacent creative mind. It's like, okay, now we're fucked. 0 hour. Now I really need to have my voice heard because I may never have this chance again.
Well, on not just that, but unapologetically, like when it comes down to it, like when you've got an entire world of just like, oh yeah, everything's fine, everything's great. Like when I graduated high school, like Obama, he was like, oh yeah, Obama's president, everything's great. Like everybody was super happy. I moved to Portland, everything was super dope. But then it was this whole just like, oh yeah, now things are bad. And I was like, oh no, devastated. But music's gonna get so sick.
Yeah. And it takes a resilience of spirit in order to actually cut through everything, to see that that's your opportunity. I've always said this because I remember Reagan. I remember what it was like in the 80s, and we used to have to do these drills, these bombing drills, where we'd get under our desks, and crunch into a ball. And I know you remember it. Like they would have drills, they bomb drills, and the Cold War was it loomed very large and was a very massive part of the zeitgeist. It was in movies, it was in music, it was everywhere. We returned to that pretty recently. It's no different. And we got punk out of it the last time. This time around, we got something I think that's unique and almost better, which is a rejection of being codified as this, that, or the other. People even got even deeper into what it is to be an individual unto yourself, as a musical entity, with that unfettered of like, we're aligned with this, we're aligned with that. We're doing like what's Koalra. We do Koalra music. We're not this or that. We're not a post-punk band. We're not a fucking indie rock band. We do what we do. And I think that's what makes this era, this generation, very important to the culture, because it doesn't matter what scene you're from, or what you're aligned with now. Now it's just based upon the depth and character of what you're doing. And that's fucking heavy.
Absolutely.
So to kind of put a fine point on things, if you were to go up to anyone, and explain to them, or impress upon them what this upcoming record is, how would you explain it to them?
You want to go first, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what we said. It's reawakening after the storm, and sort of that sort of thing. And yeah, coming out of it and knowing you got to go somewhere, but not sure where that place is that you're going. Absolutely, yeah. Which is a good follow up from the fires, where everything burns down, and you got to rebuild it, but you're not sure if it's going to rebuild the right way or not. So, but
I think everything Phil said is fucking incredible. Is perfect. It is our follow up to the fires. The Nihilism analog tape was definitely the B-side record. But yeah, no, this is a record that is not only just like a follow-up to Fires. This is something wholly different. Just I can't even tell you, like, it's a lot. Disasterclass is going to be something that reaches people that I don't think that I anticipated it reaching. But it's going to be super dope. I was like, but it makes me feel a certain way that I didn't understand that I was going to feel.
There he goes.
I didn't know if I lost everybody or just Nico.
No, Nico is getting a taste of his own medicine. He's frozen.
Yeah.
I might fuck with him. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, let's take some. Oh, I lost him. I was gonna take a picture of the screen, and then
he knew I was coming. He knew I was coming.
Yeah.
So there had to be a definitive decision made where, okay, we're going to go from, the last couple of releases were on cassette. We're going back to the record format. How did that come to pass?
Oh, that's all financial.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, tapes are easy to put out, and they're cheap and stuff like that. And there's never any return on music, unfortunately. So
right. But I have to say, like with your cassettes behind me here in my hands, they're still as fun and as fidelity wise as good sounding as a record.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And I really, really admire the care and the art direction that went into all of these, because it sticks out. These are not just like album covers. There's something striking about each and every one of them. I mean, you get the Fires, like you get the green shell, with the yellow and purple. Like the colorway in and of itself is just fun to look at. There's nothing not to enjoy about the physical presentation of any of these. Do I like vinyl more? Maybe, but it's still analog. There's still a warmth and a vibrance to the sound of the finished product, where you're not going to get that from a stream, and you're not going to get the personal experience or the, how do I put this, the almost ceremonial aspect of it, where you take it out and you do something with it. You know what I mean? You take it out, you put it in a player. Even beyond a CD, there's just something spiritual about it all.
Yeah,
you're very connected to it through a tactile relationship. This exists in reality. It's not just on the screen of a phone or on a computer. You get to be a part of it. It has a smell. It takes up space. And I know that might be, for people in this specific generation, a turnoff almost, because it's like, oh, where am I going to store all this shit?
Yeah.
But for someone like me, I'll find a space to store.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm like a physical media purist too, because I've been a retro game collector. For so long. So and this, it's the same thing where all the physical media is going away, which is unfortunate. It's funny because with the cassettes, shortly before we put out the first cassette, I started collecting cassettes rather than vinyl, and a lot of that came about because I'd been collecting vinyl for a few years, and then I realized, this is kind of strange, because what I actually grew up on when I was a kid was vinyl cassettes. So then I started to collect some cassettes, and it's like, this has such a nostalgic feeling for me, because when I was a kid, that's what I bought, was cassettes. I'm like, why am I even buying vinyl? Because I never had vinyl when I was a kid. I'd walk to high school with my pockets full of cassettes, and a Walkman, and it's like, so it's really nostalgic. And I think that when I started collecting vinyl, I was kind of not realizing it, but just jumping on the bandwagon for vinyl and not even realizing it. And what I should have been collecting all along was cassettes, because they have like the best nostalgic feeling for me because of all of that. But yeah.
For me, I went for the records because they were cheaper than tapes.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not. Well, I'm sure you probably do remember that the records, they just weren't priced. The price point was quite a bit lower than a cassette, and way fucking lower than a CD. So my friends would make fun of me like I was you're a cheapskate. You're buying the record.
Yeah.
Like, who's doing that? But
yeah.
You know, I'd already, son of a musician, I was in the know a little bit. Like, this is going to sound way better,
right?
And the fidelity, presence, all of it is there. But ultimately, again, the lack of skippability in a cassette or a record ties you more intrinsically to the finished product, because you know,
for sure,
you don't get to fucking hunt for a song. It's just you're going along for the ride.
Yeah. Yep.
So Nico, I don't know where
where
or at what point we lost you, or what point
Dude,
we were broaching.
Yeah. What's up?
I don't know what point we were broaching when I lost you.
Oh no,
what's the last thing you heard, bud?
Oh dude, I don't remember. I was trying to get it like back up and running, and it's been like what, like I don't know, 30 seconds.
A little better than that.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because we're nearing that apex moment where we're
I'm
gonna build to the crescendo. But
I'm so fucking stoned right now.
I'm glad you are, because I've been ripping all night and I'm fucking toasty. But
I'm fucking blasted.
Yeah, I'm fucking wrecked. But you know, I have been like laying in the cut, really loving you guys for a good while. And you know, I've been on you guys to come on for quite a while now. There is something that I think is wholly unique about what you do that sets you apart from, you know, and I do cover a lot of post-punk on here. It seems to be the thing I deal with a lot, and I love it and I'm here for it. But what you guys do does have those aspects of punk that are near and dear to me, and those aspects of T-Rex and glam that are very near and dear to me. You guys are not afraid to be yourselves or to take chances, and I think that's the best point I can make about what you do. I know what I was asking, Nico. If you were to explain to anyone what this record is about, what it is, what this upcoming record, you're explaining to someone cold who doesn't know your music, how would you put it to them? How would you present it to them?
There are a lot of things that we all expect out of there are a lot of things that we expect out of new music. Like even my favorite bands, bands like the Brian Jonestown Massacre, Viagra Boys. Come on, hey.
I love it. I love it.
But I mean, like the things that we expect from those bands, like it's like, what do I expect from like my favorite band? Like, what are they going to drop right now? I'm not. Koalra is not writing music for that.
Yeah,
we're not writing music for like, hey, like here's a record for people who like this genre of music. Koalra is writing music for people who like we're writing music. We're writing music in it has nothing to do with what you want. We're writing music for what's happening, and we're writing music for like what we feel. And hopefully that makes people like it. And maybe that's what people like. Maybe that's what Fuck, help me out, Phil. I'm so high. But like legit, it's really more about I don't know, man.
It's if I could
The
jump in,
album's gonna be fucking tits.
I think it's for people who are seekers.
There it is.
Truly, I think it's for people who just are fed up with
And
being
that's
told
is that there aren't as many seekers as we thought there once were,
right.
and that's devastating.
But I think there's an entirely new generation of very young people who are willing to take a ride and are not buying into, but certainly of a mindset that gives them the proclivity to want to jump into something new without expectation. And I think that's where you guys will shine, because you're not for fans of band. You're not that band.
There
You
it
know what I
is.
mean? And that's what is so important to me in my ripe old age is you're not pandering to me, and I don't want to be pandered to. And I don't think these fucking young kids want to be pandered to. I think they want to be challenged, and that's where you're going to shine.
I think that's the only reason that you don't think that like I was like, yeah, like I'm the fucking like 15-year-old fucking like younger person. I'm just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I have really appreciated this entire. Stop, Phil. Okay, never mind.
Oh, I was actually.
I saw Phil doing this. I was like, God damn it, did he really fucking pause on that again?
I've always hoped to like reach out to the actual music lover than just the regular average listener. So that's always something I've always hoped to attain in anything. Like, I don't care about the average listener at all. I just would love to really, the people that really live and breathe music like all of us do. Hopefully they'll like it and enjoy it, because we're proud of it, and hopefully they'll dig it too. So
I remember being in my first band. I was 13 years old. It was 1989. I
was a year old.
You were a year old, Nico. I was speaking to the guitar player of said band, Matt, and we were into hardcore, but we were into like stuff like everything like Sisters of Mercy. We were into Perry Farrell's first band, Psycom. We were just digging deep, and we were recording on a 4-track Fostex 4-track. This 8-song demo that felt so epic to us. And he said, what is it? What are we trying to say? And I said, I said to him, I'm trying to reach the kid who is too shy to go make friends in school. I'm trying to reach one person. I don't care about everybody else. I want to reach one person. And if I reach that one person, I have succeeded. I was 13 when I said that, and
that's super young.
When I am at 47, I'm still trying to do it.
Yeah.
And as long as that's my mission, as long as that's in line with your mission, I think what we're doing, all of us, is honorable and real.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear your band. What's your band called?
We're called Heart Out. We're named after a song by The Fall.
The Fall is sick.
Fall is fucking sick. So who are you going to name yourself after? A song by The Fall, of course.
For sure.
Very street rock. Very.
All right, boys. I'm out.
We're all out. But listen, guys, come back again when you have a new record. Awesome. I will have this ready for the release of this. Thank you so much. And I've had a blast.
Yeah, you're awesome, Peter. Thank you so much.
You too, brother.
All right, we'll talk soon.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.